This story has some outrage, Martha. A mother saying that airport screeners treated her 4-year-old daughter like a terrorist. Michelle Bradymeyer is saying that their ordeal began at Wichita's airport after her mother had to be rescreened. So you got the grandmother, the mom, and the daughter now. After setting off the alarm by the grandmother, her little Isabella, not knowing any better, ran back through the checkpoint to give her grandmother a hug. That's when Bradymeyer claims TSA agents swooped in, leaving her crying and hysterical daughter a full-body pat-down. On her Facebook page, Bradymeyer writes, quote, "It was implied several times that my mother, in their brief 2-second embrace, had passed a handgun to my daughter," end quote. Scott Brenner is her former senior FAA official and vice president of Gephardt Government Affairs. How you doing, Scott? Good morning to you. I don't know what the truth is here, but based on what we know, what's your conclusion?
What an absolute disaster for TSA. I mean, are the 4-year-olds and the grandmothers, are those the top terrorist suspects in the world today? That's who we should be working on? No, I think it was a huge breakdown by TSA. Clearly what happened was you had the child go through, she's cleared, the grandmother alarms, they got to resolve that alarm, fine. The kid goes back, fine, rescreen them both. But when do these jackbooted thugs come in and start, scowling at this poor little girl, scaring her to death, separating her from her mother? It's just a disaster by TSA.
Here's what the TSA said, Scott. Quote on screen, "The child had completed screening, but had contact with another member of her family who had not completed the screening process. While it was explained to family members why additional screening procedures were necessary in this instance, TSA officers did not suspect or suggest the child was carrying a firearm." Does that make it any better?
I don't think it makes it any better. And I think what happened was you had some probably inexperienced TSA folks working that line. They had a situation, and they should have had a manager step in and say, folks, let's be reasonable here. Let's put this into context. Yes, let's rescreen them both because there was contact with the kid who had been screened and the grandmother who had not. Let's resolve that. But let's not bring them into a private room. Let's not get this girl so upset that she couldn't stop crying, and they start to threaten that they have to shut the whole airport down until a little kid stops crying.
But
Has that ever worked?
It may be true that the TSA agents tried to rescreen them already, and then the situation grew wildly out of hand because of a screaming girl, and the mother's hysterical. But I think in the end, that's what you're trained to do, are you not?
Bill, wildly out of hand, a 4-year-old? Come on. Yes, they should be trained to do this, and a manager should have stepped in and resolved the situation. It sounds like at the end somebody finally did step in. But again, this is clear that the TSA needs to train their agents better to handle these types of situations.
I got your point. I got your larger point there. We'll reach out to the mother, too, to get her side of the story, and we shall see what we find then.